Hello, this is Mr. B, and I want to go over the order of operations today and just very quickly review these with you. As you know, ever since you were a little kid, you've been following the order of operations. However, in elementary school, there's often only one operation, so you never really thought about what order do I have to do these operations in. It's only when you get a little bit older and we start to see problems that have lots of different operations in them, like we see up here on the board, and then you have to think, well, okay, I need to do these, but what order do I do all of these operations in? I see addition and division and multiplication and subtraction all over the place in here. So I need to know what order do I follow in doing this math problem, and that's the order of operations. So when we look at a math problem, we always want to remember a couple general rules. And that is, I usually start with the letter G for grouping symbols. So grouping symbols can be any type of symbols like these parentheses that we see here. Parentheses that group together some numbers here and some operations. We also have brackets. Brackets are the exact same thing as parentheses. They do the same job, but we don't want any confusion with our two parentheses right next to each other. Sometimes you will see that where there's two sets of parentheses and everything is parentheses, and that can get kind of confusing. That's why we like to use brackets. And we also use something else called braces, which you may have seen those. They kind of look like this, little squigglies. They're kind of hard to draw. Here we also have a grouping symbol right here. This is a fraction bar. It's a division symbol. So we see it's grouping the numerator part, the top part, the first term at the top. That's grouped together. It's kind of like having parentheses around this and saying all of that is divided by 5, and that's all that's saying right there. So grouping symbols are very important. We always want to first work inside those and find one number. Basically, this is saying I can't add this until I have one number right here. I have to get one single number there first, then I can start adding and subtracting over here by 20. And inside this grouping symbol, there is another grouping symbol right here, these parentheses. That means this is one number. I have to get the one number here before I can multiply by 3. So keep that in mind. That's why we always have to work inside those grouping symbols. So once we're working inside grouping symbols, we also can focus on our exponents. So I'm going to put an E here for exponents. We can go ahead right away. First thing we can do is just look at any numbers that have exponents on them, like here, and just find out what is that number. All these exponents. First thing I do is just cross those out and put in that number when I solve this. I'm going to erase them for now, though. So we want to get our numbers for exponents right off the bat. And then once we start really working with our 4 operations, we want to do multiplication and division first. Multiply and divide everything from left to right. So we're working in this direction, just like you read a sentence from left to right. We want to do whatever comes first from left to right. And then once all that is finished, all the multiplying and dividing is done, we go back and we will do all of our addition and subtraction work last. And once again, we go from left to right. Whatever comes first, we will look at those 2 numbers from left to right and solve those. So let's go ahead and solve what we have up here. I'm going to get a little room here first off. Okay, I'm going to start with this problem here. And once again, I notice these grouping symbols. I want to get inside these grouping symbols and say, I need to get this number first. That's one number, and that's my first thing. So I'm going to go ahead and write this number underneath here. And I'll calculate it off to the side using a calculator. You can just, you may know the work. You may need to just kind of write out on scrap paper or on the other side of the paper, but find your answer and write it underneath and then copy the rest down. Copy, 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 copy everything else. I'm going to go ahead and solve this part right off the bat. It's okay, we can do that. We can do that first. That's going to be 27. And then copy everything. Copy the plus sign, copy the brackets. Now the parentheses here go away because we're finished. We have our one number. We don't need those anymore. And in fact, you can replace the brackets with parentheses because they are the same thing. And then copy the multiplication symbol, copy the 3. There's our bracket, turn into a parentheses there. It's okay to do that. And then copy minus 20. This is a skill. Copying everything out is a skill that will help you get the correct answer. Instead of just kind of looking at it and doing random math problems, and hoping to get the right answer and hoping to go in the right order, this will ensure you go in the right order because you're looking at a problem that's getting simpler and simpler as you go down. So now I'm looking at this here. I'll get a different color here. I'm looking at this problem inside the grouping symbols. 12 times 3 is 36. So I'm going to write 36 under it. Remember, the answers go under it, not the work. I'm not doing work under here. And there's no equal signs down here either. I'm putting the answer underneath and then copying everything else underneath. 27 plus, there's my answer. No more parentheses because I've got the number. I have a minus, I have a 20. Okay, now I'm done with all my multiplication, division. All I have is addition and subtraction, so I'm working from left to right. So my first problem is going to be this, and I'm going to add those together. I get 63, and then copy that, and I'm down to my most simple expression, and that is going to be 63 minus 20, 43. Okay, notice that it has this shape, has kind of this V shape, like this. Down at the very bottom is our answer. It gets, notice this, the top expression gets simpler and simpler as we rewrite the expression each time after each step. It gets simpler, simpler, even more simple down here, and then finally the simplest it gets is a single number, 43, right there. Let me erase this and we'll try the next one. Okay, here we go. Once again, we're looking at grouping symbols, so I know I'm going to start right here. I also see I've got an exponent over here, so I'm going to figure out what 4 times 4 times 4 is, and I kind of work off to the side. Remember, don't work down here. Don't have any work under here. We want to save that and keep that all clean, and only answers go underneath. And so this is going to be 64 right here, so I'm going to go ahead and put 64 under it, directly under it, and then I'm going to work out this one right here. So this is going to be 9.8. right there, and then I'm going to copy everything else times 6.2. Very important to copy it exactly how we see it. Minus, plus here, and our 64 down there. We want to copy it exactly how we see it. Even if there's other parentheses, make sure those are in there, but I think I've got everything right here good. Our next problem, I'm right here. I'm at this step, multiplying and dividing. I'm looking for any multiplication and division. And I do have multiplication right here. 6.2, the whole thing right there. So 9.8 times 6.2, I'm going to go ahead and calculate that and find the answer. I am going to work that out up here on the board for you. So we get 60.76. Pretty sure that's correct. Hopefully I didn't make an error right there. I do make mistakes, especially if I'm going quickly and I am holding a computer in my hand. It does happen right there. Come on. There we go. So I've got my answer. Notice it goes right underneath, copy, copy, copy everything else down. Now I'm working from left to right. All I have is adding and subtracting, so I'm going to go ahead and do this subtraction right there. One last step is to add those together, and we'll end up with, I think that's right. So the final answer, 122 and 76/100ths. And that's it. So let's do this last problem here. Let me erase all this. Okay, I just wanted to include one problem in here that has this fraction bar. This is a grouping symbol right here. It's a division bar. Fraction bar is division, so we've learned that already. So when we are working this right here, I'm going to write down another fraction bar. Notice I'm working kind of left to right. I kind of do that, but you don't have to. You can go underneath here. I'm just going to copy that fraction bar so that I'm going to find my top number, all right, and my bottom number here. Same thing over here. If I'm working like this horizontally and I'm putting an answer over here to the right, I just find when I'm doing this type of problem, it's just easier to kind of move over to the side here and say, okay, I'm going to find this answer first right here and add that together, so I get 13.5. All right, that's my numerator part, my first term up here, and then 5 is just by itself. And then we just have one division problem, 13.5 divided by 5, and I'm going to continue just going off to the right here, and then when you divide that, you end up with 2.7 as your answer. And that's it. You can also, like I said, you can go down and just say, okay, I'm going to 13.5 here, you know, and then 2.7. You can do that as well. But I tend to move to the right when I'm dealing with a big division grouping symbol like that. So that is the basics of the order of operations, and I worked out some of the problems so you can see them in action. All right, I hope you enjoy the video and enjoy doing these types of problems. Bye-bye.